Imagine your electricity bill is zero this summer, but your food, your vegetables, your milk, all of it stays cool for days. Sounds impossible, right? But there is a $200 device buried right under the ground that does exactly this, and it needs no electricity, no compressor, no wires, nothing. People are calling it the underground cooler, and right now thousands of families across hot countries are quietly switching to it. Today, we are going to break down exactly how this works, why it is suddenly trending, and why some experts believe this simple invention could change how millions of people live in extreme heat. Stay with me till the end, because the science behind this is honestly mind-blowing. And before we go further, if you enjoy simple explanations of real-world inventions like this, hit that subscribe button right now, because we post videos like this every single week. So let's start with the basic question. What exactly is this underground cooler? At first glance, it looks like nothing special. It is basically two clay pots, one smaller pot placed inside a bigger pot with wet sand packed in between them. The whole thing is either buried partly underground or kept in a shaded pit. That's it. No motor, no plastic parts, no electronic panel, just clay, sand, and water. And yet, this simple setup can keep the inside temperature 10 to 20 degrees cooler than the air outside. For a lot of people, that difference is the line between food spoiling in a few hours and food staying fresh for almost a week. Now here is where it gets interesting. This is not some brand new invention from a tech startup. This idea is actually thousands of years old. Ancient civilizations in hot desert regions used similar clay-based cooling structures long before anyone even knew what electricity was. They understood one simple truth about nature. When water evaporates, it pulls heat away from its surroundings. That's the entire secret. It's the same reason your skin feels cold when sweat dries off it on a windy day. The underground cooler is just a clever way of using that same natural process, but designed to protect food instead of a human body. Let's slow down for a second and really understand the mechanism, because once you see it, you will never look at a clay pot the same way again. The outer pot is porous, which means water can slowly seep through its walls. As that water reaches the surface and touches the air, it evaporates. But evaporation does not happen for free. It needs energy. And where does it pull that energy from? From the heat inside the inner pot. So as water evaporates from the outer layer, it is literally sucking heat out of the space where your food is stored. This process keeps repeating continuously, as long as the sand between the two pots stays moist. That's why people top up the water every day or two, and the cooling effect just keeps going. Now you might be thinking, okay, this sounds like a cute science experiment, but does it actually work in real life, in real heat, for real families? And that is exactly the part that is turning heads right now. In regions where daytime temperatures cross 40 degrees Celsius, people using these underground coolers report that vegetables, which normally rot within a day, can last up to a week. Milk that would spoil in hours stays usable for much longer. Some users even claim that fruits stay fresher and juicier compared to a regular refrigerator, because the cooling here is gentle and humid, not harsh and dry like mechanical refrigeration. This is not some tiny local trend either. It is spreading because of one simple reason: cost. Think about it. A basic refrigerator today can cost anywhere from $300 to over $1,000. And on top of that, you're paying a monthly electricity bill just to keep it running. Now compare that to a system that costs around $200 to set up, sometimes even less if you build it yourself with clay pots and sand. And after that, it costs you basically nothing except a bit of water every day. No monthly bill, no repair costs, no worrying about a power cut ruining your food. In areas where electricity is unreliable or where power cuts happen for hours every single day, this is not just a nice alternative. For a lot of families, it is becoming the only reliable way to keep food safe. And this brings us to a bigger question that most people are not asking, but should be. If something this simple, this cheap, and this effective has existed for thousands of years, why did the modern world completely forget about it? Why did we spend decades building massive energy-hungry refrigeration systems, wiring entire countries with power grids, burning fuel to keep things cold, when a version of the answer was sitting right there in the ground the whole time? Is it because electric refrigeration was genuinely better? Or is it because it was more profitable to sell machines than to teach people a $200 clay trick? We are going to dig deeper into that question in the next part, because the answer says a lot about how modern economies actually work, and why some of the smartest, most affordable solutions in the world often get pushed aside, not because they don't work, but because there is no big company behind them pushing to sell them to you. But here's something else worth thinking about before we move on. This underground cooler is not just useful for individual families sitting in villages or small towns. It is starting to attract attention from a completely different direction, one that most people would never expect. Off-grid living communities, disaster preparedness experts, sustainable farming projects, and even some environmental researchers are now studying this exact same clay pot cooling method, but applying it in bigger, smarter, and more advanced ways. We are talking about scaled-up versions used for storing large batches of vegetables after harvest, versions being tested in refugee camps where electricity is simply not available, and versions being explored by small farmers who lose a shocking percentage of their crop every single year, simply because they have no cheap way to keep it cool, right after picking it from the field. So what we have here is not just a quirky $200 gadget. It might actually be one of the most underrated economic tools of our time, sitting quietly in plain sight, mostly ignored by mainstream media, mostly ignored by big companies, but slowly gaining a very loyal, very practical following among people who are simply tired of paying for something nature is willing to give away almost for free. In the next part, we are going to look closely at real numbers, real comparisons between this and a traditional refrigerator, the surprising limitations nobody talks about, and where this technology might realistically be heading in the next few years. Stick around because this story is far from over. Let's pick up right where we left off, because now it's time to really compare this underground cooler with the machine sitting in almost every kitchen around the world, the regular electric refrigerator. On the surface, there is no competition. A refrigerator can freeze things, it can keep drinks ice cold, it can run all day and all night without you lifting a finger. The underground cooler cannot do any of that. It cannot freeze meat, it cannot make ice, it cannot chill a can of soda in 20 minutes. So if you are expecting this clay pot system to fully replace your fridge, you are going to be disappointed. But that is not really the point of this invention, and that is exactly where people get it wrong. The real value of the underground cooler is not in competing with a refrigerator, feature by feature. Its value is in solving a very specific, very painful problem that refrigerators fail to solve for a huge part of the world's population. And that problem is access. Not everyone on this planet has stable electricity. Not everyone can afford the upfront cost of a refrigerator, let alone the monthly bills that come with running one for years. In many rural areas, even if a family somehow buys a fridge, frequent power cuts mean the food inside spoils anyway, sometimes even faster than if it had just been left out, because the fridge keeps warming and cooling in cycles every time the power goes on and off. In situations like that, a device that needs zero electricity and works consistently, day after day, without fail, suddenly becomes far more practical than a machine that looks powerful on paper, but fails in real conditions. Let's talk numbers for a moment, because this is where the story becomes even more interesting. A typical refrigerator consumes a noticeable chunk of a household's monthly electricity, especially in hot climates where the compressor has to work overtime just to fight against the outside heat. Over a year, that adds up to a real cost, not just in money, but in electricity demand on a national grid that is often already struggling to keep up. Now multiply that by millions of households. That is a massive amount of energy being used, a lot of it generated from burning fuel just to keep food cold. The underground cooler sidesteps all of that completely. It uses no grid electricity at all. It uses water, and even that requirement is small, usually just a liter or two topped up daily depending on the size of the pot and how hot and dry the surrounding air is. When you zoom out and think about this on a larger scale, across entire regions or countries, the potential impact on energy demand is honestly significant, even if a single household's savings seem small. But let's be fair here, because this video is not trying to convince you that clay pots are about to replace every refrigerator on Earth. There are real limitations, and ignoring them would be dishonest. This method works best in hot, dry climates. Evaporation is the entire engine behind this technology, and evaporation happens fastest when the air is dry. In areas with high humidity, the surrounding air is already saturated with moisture, so water struggles to evaporate efficiently from the pot's surface, and the cooling effect becomes much weaker. This is why you mostly hear about this method being popular in desert regions, dry rural areas, and places with long hot summers and low humidity, rather than in humid coastal cities. So this is not a universal fix for every part of the world. It is a targeted solution for a specific kind of climate, and within that climate, it performs remarkably well. There's also the question of scale and convenience. A refrigerator can be opened and closed 100 times a day without losing much cooling ability. The underground cooler, on the other hand, is a bit more delicate. Opening it too often lets warm air rush in, and because there is no compressor rapidly pulling the temperature back down, it takes longer to stabilize again. This means it works best for households or communities that plan their food storage a little more intentionally, rather than constantly grabbing something out every few minutes. For many traditional households, especially those already used to daily market shopping and fresh cooking, this is not really a big issue, but for a fast-paced modern lifestyle, it does require a shift in habit. Now here's a part of this story that most videos completely skip over, and it's honestly one of the most fascinating angles. This underground cooling method is quietly becoming a case study in what some economists and sustainability researchers call appropriate technology. That's a term used to describe tools and systems that are specifically designed to fit the economic reality, skill level, and environmental conditions of the people using them, instead of just being the most advanced or expensive option available. A $200 clay pot system that needs no specialized skill to build, no imported parts, no ongoing fuel cost, and no technical repair knowledge fits that definition almost perfectly. Compare that to a refrigerator, which requires manufacturing supply chains, electronic components, refrigerant gases, a stable power grid, and skilled technicians for repairs. For low-income communities, especially in developing regions, appropriate technology like this often ends up being far more sustainable and far more empowering than simply handing people expensive modern machines they cannot maintain or afford to run long-term. This is also why some small-scale farming cooperatives have started experimenting with larger versions of this same idea for post-harvest storage. Right after fruits and vegetables are picked, they are at their most vulnerable to spoilage, especially in intense heat. Farmers who cannot afford cold storage facilities often lose a painfully large portion of their harvest simply because there is nowhere cool to keep it before it reaches the market. Scaled-up evaporative cooling chambers, built on the exact same clay and sand principle, are now being tested as a low-cost buffer to slow down that spoilage, buying farmers precious extra days to sell their produce instead of watching it rot in the field or in a storage shed. And here's a thought that's worth sitting with for a second. If a $200 idea, built from materials that have existed for centuries, can meaningfully reduce food waste, cut household energy demand, and give people in extreme heat a reliable way to protect their food without relying on a fragile power grid, then why isn't this being talked about more? Why does mainstream attention almost always go toward the next expensive gadget, the next smart fridge, the next high-tech solution, while something this simple, this cheap, and this proven quietly stays in the background? That question leads us into the final and maybe most important part of this story, because understanding why simple solutions get ignored tells us a lot about how modern markets, media, and even our own habits are shaped. In the next part, we are going to bring this entire story together, look at where this technology could realistically be heading next, and talk about why paying attention to overlooked ideas like this one might matter more than most people realize. Let's bring this all together now, because everything we've talked about so far points to something bigger than just a clay pot with sand and water inside it. This underground cooler is really a mirror. It reflects a much larger pattern in how the modern world chooses which solutions get attention and which ones quietly get left behind. And once you understand that pattern, you start noticing it everywhere, not just in refrigeration, but in energy, in farming, in construction, in almost every part of daily life. Think about why this $200 idea stayed hidden for so long while multi-billion-dollar refrigeration industries grew across the globe. It is not because the clay pot method doesn't work. We have already seen that it does, and it has worked for thousands of years in exactly the conditions it was designed for. The real reason that simple solutions like this get ignored usually comes down to one thing, and it is not technology, it is business incentive. A refrigerator needs to be manufactured, shipped, sold, plugged in, and powered every single day for years. That creates an entire economic ecosystem, one built around factories, electricity providers, repair technicians, and constant consumer demand. A clay pot cooler, on the other hand, creates almost none of that. And once you build it, there's nothing left to sell you. No upgrades, no replacement parts, no monthly bill. From a business standpoint, there is very little profit motive to promote something that solves a problem this cheaply and this permanently. And that is exactly why ideas like this tend to survive quietly through word of mouth, passed down through generations, or shared in small farming communities, instead of showing up in glossy advertisements or big product launches. But here's the part that should really make you pause and think. The fact that something isn't profitable to sell does not mean it isn't valuable. In many ways, it might mean the opposite. It might mean the value goes directly to the person using it, instead of being split between manufacturers, retailers, and electricity companies along the way. When you strip away marketing, branding, and flashy design, and just ask the simple question, does this actually solve the problem it claims to solve? The underground cooler passes that test in a way very few modern gadgets can match for the price. It keeps food fresh, it requires no ongoing fuel, it works even during long power outages, it can be built almost anywhere with basic materials. And it does all of this for a fraction of the cost of a machine that needs constant power just to function. Now, does this mean everyone watching this video should go dig a hole in their backyard and bury 2 clay pots tomorrow? Not necessarily, and that's important to be honest about. If you live in a humid climate, the evaporative cooling effect will be much weaker, and your results will not match what people in dry, hot regions experience. If your lifestyle depends on freezing food or constantly opening and closing a fridge throughout the day, this simple system is not going to fully replace that convenience. This is not a magic fix for every household on Earth. But for millions of people living in hot, dry regions with unreliable electricity, or for anyone interested in backup food storage during power outages, natural disasters, or off-grid living, this is a genuinely powerful, low-cost tool worth understanding and even trying. And that is really the bigger lesson hiding inside this entire story. Some of the most effective solutions to everyday problems are not the newest, shiniest, most advertised options. Sometimes they are old ideas, tested over centuries, sitting quietly in the background, waiting for someone to notice them again. The underground cooler is proof that innovation does not always mean inventing something completely new. Sometimes it simply means rediscovering something that already worked perfectly well, and applying it intelligently to modern problems like rising electricity costs, unstable power grids, and the growing need for sustainable low-energy living. As global electricity prices continue rising in many parts of the world, and as more regions experience extreme heat and unpredictable power supply, it would not be surprising to see interest in low-cost, no electricity cooling methods like this one grow even further. Researchers, sustainable farming projects, and off-grid communities are already paying attention. It is very possible that in the coming years, we will see more refined, more efficient versions of this same basic idea, built with better materials, smarter design, and wider awareness, especially in regions where reliable refrigeration has always been out of reach. So the next time you see a $200 invention that seems almost too simple to be true, it might be worth pausing before dismissing it. Sometimes the most overlooked solutions are overlooked not because they don't work, but because there is no billion-dollar company standing behind them, pushing them into your feed, your store shelves, or your daily conversations. The underground cooler didn't need a marketing budget to survive for thousands of years. It survived because it simply worked, quietly, reliably, and almost for free. Now I want to hear directly from you. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, drop a comment below and tell me, would you actually try building something like this at home? Or do you think it just isn't practical for where you live? I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know what you think, because conversations like this are exactly what make this channel better. And if this video opened your eyes to something you had never thought about before, do me a huge favor and share it with just one person who you think would find this as interesting as you did. It really does make a massive difference and helps this channel keep growing. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we bring you simple, honest breakdowns of real-world ideas just like this one every single week. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next video.